Dog.
Welcome to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery, starring Jerry Springer, along with Gene Galvin and me. I'm Megan Hills. We're recorded live in front of a brilliant studio audience at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky.
My daddy came home.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the one and only Jerry Springer.
Oh, yeah.
Please. Actually, the applause would be louder, but people are holding their coffee cups. I just know. Yeah. So from now on, no coffee until after the introductions.
No, you can't do that. Our friends,
No,
Folk
that's
School
okay.
Coffee Parlor, where,
Yes.
by the way, Bitter Roots is the locally ground, I guess, coffee bean in the Cincinnati area. It's wonderful.
It's very
Hey,
good.
by the way,
It's good.
And I know Megan says the one and only Jerry Springer, and that's
Thankfully.
kind of hyperbole, but I want to tell you
What
something.
do you mean hyperbole? Look in the phone
I have,
book.
over the years we've been friends, I've noticed
Yes.
something, and I'm seriously, I just cut the kidding out because sometimes we joke around. This is not a joke, but you have an impressive mind, and I have even noticed an impressive memory, because when we get into conversations sometimes with other people, I'm struggling to keep up, trying to remember the name. Is it Kim Davis? Who is that?
Where is
county
this- where is
clerk
this
down in
going?
Kentucky.
I'm a little...
Do you
And
need
then-
some money?
No.
Is this
No,
a preamble?
It is
My
true
to-
that-
business, I have a good business plan for this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
I no
see it.
longer
It's
need
a
any money.
business
Here's
plan.
what I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you. You seem to have a memory, and I've noticed this, that is the word photogenic, somebody who can sort
No.
of see things and they can just
Photogenic
remember.
is not...
not
photographic memory.
a
eidetic
photographic,
memory,
a photo-
Yeah,
graphic
photogenic
memory?
is someone like me who's
Oh, who
very
is
photogenic.
I got you.
Yeah,
So
I'm
a
very-
photographic.
No, he does that.
Very attractive.
Your knack for remembering dates, and it's really kind of creepy
It
sometimes.
is. I mean, he remembers things of history, etc. And I just wanted to compliment you for that. I think that it's an amazing
What is the
faculty, and
Yeah.
it's impressive.
Fine.
And
How about, compliment me like at the office when we're doing work?
This
when
is-
do we do work at any office? I don't
Well,
work in
that's
any
true. We
office.
don't. Your
And I
business
know you
plan.
don't
We
work
don't
in
even
any
have an office. Okay, and the point being,
You know, it just occurred to me, Megan. You know, it would really put Jerry on the spot, but it might be kind of amusing,
we don't
even
need
if
to
he
do that.
failed.
Don't even have to tell me. Just do it.
I wonder if we could ask him to do something that would be probably impossible. And there is a studio, applaud again. I want to prove
A real-
there is a studio audience here. There are witnesses here.
There are.
So what if we asked Jerry to do something? Okay, I've got an idea.
Okay, what you got?
There have been 44 presidents.
This is true.
44. Barack Obama is the 44th president. What if we asked
actually,
you?
there have been 43, but Grover Cleveland was president twice.
Want to see? There's an
la-ti-da,
example of
look
just,
at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just obnoxious.
Where were
as
you in Miss Leiter's class?
Yeah. Let me
Not
ask you to
fair.
do something.
What?
I have a watch. I will time you. We will give you, I'm thinking 5 minutes, but that's too easy because he could then really think. Let's ask him in a minute, 1 minute, 60
Okay.
seconds. I will time it.
To do what?
To name in order every president
No way.
from the first to the last.
There is no
Where you
chance.
just, with your photographic
Is this being
memory.
taped? Can we stop this?
He doesn't
there
remember
wa-
what he had for lunch today.
All right,
How
he's
is he
not.
gonna do
He has
that?
no prop. He has
No,
no
he doesn't.
aid. He's not looking at his cell phone. All phones are off. Are you willing to try that? Do you think you could do that?
I think all the presidents.
All the presidents.
in order.
In order.
And you're going to time it. You got the timer.
And if this doesn't work, we'll start the broadcast over and we'll do something else.
Oh, really, if you are utterly
We'll find
embarrassed.
something he can do.
How about naming my grandson? That's
Yeah.
You got one.
One.
And by the
I
way,
got one.
Jerry, when you do it, are you going to dove in?
I'm
Is that
gonna
what
rock.
Yeah, you're going to rock.
Get to the-
Okay.
When he gets
Oh,
nervous.
44.
All right.
Okay.
In,
Who's got the
in
what?
60 seconds, I'm going to count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James E. Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James Garfield, Chester Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, Grover Cleveland against William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton.
Woo!
Did I do a minute?
That was so cool.
Was it a minute?
That was less than a minute.
Wow.
To be honest, that's
That was,
freaking unbelievable.
Truly impressive, sir.
No, I didn't have many friends as a kid.
Clearly.
That's unbelievable. I don't even.
Jene,
I'm
can you
speechless.
do anything?
Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
What can you do?
Okay, count to 10 in 1 minute.
In order.
I'll give you 1 minute to count to 10.
Shut up, he's got a yo-yo.
Oh, he's got a yo-yo.
He's got a yo-yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot see this at home. That's walk the dog.
Oh my
walk
gosh.
the pony. What is that?
Wow,
Rock
is
the
the
cradle.
TikTok thing?
Unbelievable.
Wow. Do you travel with a yo-yo in your pocket just in case someone asks you to do a trick?
Yeah,
I always have a yo-yo. I always have a.
Oh,
That's funny.
what a
Yeah,
yo-yo.
that's seventh grade humor. I always have a yo-yo in my pocket. Yeah. Yeah.
That actually was really
You just
cool.
have-
Good job.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Who knew?
very nice.
Now, now, Megan.
All right, what's going on here?
Well, just one last thing, and we can't do it tonight because I don't think you have the prop with you. But maybe the next time, would you bring, because you said in a previous podcast that you are trained in combat.
Correct.
What's it called?
Stage combat. So I got
Stage combat.
Yeah, like double-handed broadsword, single-handed. Yeah, it's
So
true.
if we push the audience back a little bit and you had your prop. By the way, do you carry a sword in your trunk typically?
Generally, but not tonight. It's weird.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Weird. Just weird.
Just
It's
weird.
one of those things.
One all
All right.
night.
Get ready because we want you to bring a sword in.
We'll do a demonstration
And yeah.
for
Yeah.
a podcast.
Could you cut his throat?
Please.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah, right.
Tales, tunes, and tragedies. Next, Jerry Springer.
Next on Jerry Springer.
Next,
Tales, tunes, and
next-
blood.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, you were actually talking about a more serious subject here. Is the Kim Davis, you know, the clerk of Rowan County?
It's pronounced Rowan. I learned by going down there.
Rowan County, Kentucky. And she is the clerk who refuses to grant a marriage license to a gay couple, even though they're obviously allowed to under the Constitution now in the Supreme Court ruling. But she refuses to because she says it's against her personal religious belief, even though she's required by the law to do it. That's her job. She's a clerk.
He took an oath.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And the judge, as of this podcast, the judge had sentenced her to jail in contempt of court. And as soon as she goes ahead and delivers or signs the marriage license, grants it, then she would be out of jail. But today, you were down there to see the hearing.
Right.
And why don't you bring us up
and
to date?
we're recording this on a day, but about
Yeah.
6 days previous, I drove down. And by the way, all kidding aside, you and I said when we started this podcast that though we can't do headline stories because the nature of podcasts are you're not doing 3 hours a day radio 5 days a week. So we do things a little more thematically. But we also agreed if something happened in America that's significant, we go. Maybe all of us, maybe one of us, some of us. So I decided to go to Ashland, Kentucky, which is the far eastern side of Kentucky from Cincinnati, 3-hour drive or so. And I went to the federal courthouse where she was facing a contempt hearing. So I drove down there, and I will tell you when I got there, it looked like what I think the Scopes monkey trial probably looked like in 1925, Dayton, Tennessee. Joseph Scopes, I think his name was Joseph Scopes, was tried for because he was teaching evolution. Now, they're kind of on the flip side. Scopes was kind of on the liberal side. Kim Davis is kind of on the conservative side, saying that gay people don't have the right to marry when, in fact, obviously they do for a variety of reasons.
And back then, the Tennessee law said you could not teach evolution
That's correct.
in the schools, and he did. And
he was convicted, by the way.
he was convicted. And William Jennings Bryan, who had run for president 3 times as a Democrat and lost, but was a real Bible Belt, he was the prosecutor, or
Correct.
he aided in the prosecution. And Clarence Darrow By the way, if you ever get a chance, and then I won't interrupt anymore,
Yeah.
but if you ever get a chance to see the play, which you were in locally here, but also if you get to see the play or the movie Inherit the Wind,
That's the whole story.
that's the whole story, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story.
And you know what? That's the point. When I rolled up to Ashland, Kentucky, where the Eastern District Circuit, one of the circuit courtrooms is, it looked like that scene and what I'd seen in the movie and what we had imagined when the play is done. There were two huge throngs, two sides of the streets. They're different from 1925. They had equipment, they had technology. They had huge amplifiers set up. So there was a war of the amplifiers. There was a plane flying over, pulling a banner saying, "Stay strong, Kim," pro Kim Davis people. There were equal numbers of people face to face at times chanting. I kept thinking, yeah, there could be a fight that's going to happen, though it never happened. So I was outside watching all this. And then a cop said to me, and I was in the role of a journalist, so to speak, and a cop said, "Hey, there's a seat just opened up." I guess a journalist. 70 people got into the courtroom in the spectator area, and they were all journalists, it appeared to me. So a seat opened up. I grabbed it. They, turned over my electronics. They searched me. I went up in the courtroom, and I was able to get in just as Kim Davis was being cross-examined and examined. And when she sat down, she was 3 rows in front of me. I had the perfect seat for this. I saw her interrogated. I saw the plaintiff, one of the plaintiffs who was a professor at Morehead University, testify. And then I saw the judge deliberate and say, and here, this was the bottom line. The judge said in the interrogations, one attorney said to Kim Davis, and now she's under oath, so she's got to tell the truth, one would assume. And he said, "Have you been contacted by anybody with pledges of money?" This goes to the point of what would fines mean.
Yeah.
And there was a pause, and she says, "I have." The attorney said, "Name them." And she rattled off all of these ultra-conservative organizations. What have they pledged? And she said, plenty of money. The judge then concluded fines would do nothing to her. You couldn't give any amount of money that the Cook brothers or people like them might not have turned up for her. And the judge, and no one saw this coming, I sure didn't, said, "I'm going to hand you over to the marshals who are going to take you off, and it's because it's the only thing I can think of doing." And I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "I'm going to sit you in a jail cell." And then he was going to interrogate, which he did, all of her deputies, who were all sitting in the row right behind her. And he went down the line with them, and he found out of 6, 5 who said, I'll give out marriage licenses, and 1 wouldn't, and that's her son. Mm-hmm. And that's how it ended. So today...
So she gets released.
She's been
released because the licenses were issued, not by her, but by the deputies, even though her signature is still on the license.
Well, here's the resolution for Judge Bunning. And by the way, I almost went to this. I started to go, and then I thought I didn't know where he lived. But Sunday in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, a northern Kentucky suburb, there were protesters at Judge Bunning, federal court judge, at his home. Now, I don't think that's good strategy.
Right.
No.
If you want, if you want your woman who's in jail to get some leniency, I don't know that you go picket his home, but they did.
They're trying to make the reason. I don't think they're concerned. They really were that concerned about getting her out, although they probably would like
Maybe
to see.
not.
But I think they just want attention for the issue. They want to make a martyr. They get. The news is going to cover the protesters outside the judge's house.
And they did.
Yeah, they wouldn't. A private phone call, could you please help? They're not allowed to do that. But I mean, that kind of stuff, that doesn't get them anything.
You know what
They
he
want
did
to
today?
protest.
What the judge did today, and I got to tell you, the Judge Bunning is very slick. He's very sharp. A Republican judge appointed by H. Walker Bush. And he said today, he cut a deal with the involvement of her attorney, is what I understand. And they agreed to what was on this sheet, which was, I will let you out. And the understanding is that you will not interfere directly or indirectly, were his words, or we go back to sanctions. And the implication was, I'll put you back in jail. So I thought when I heard that reported that she, through her attorney, said, I will allow what's happening. Here's what's happening. Her deputies are giving out marriage licenses. They don't have her name on them. In the slot where, and this all came out in the testimony, where she would put her name, Kim Davis, clerk of Rowan County, they put in Rowan County. They didn't put her name. They didn't name her. They went then to the plaintiff's attorneys and they said, all right, you've been given marriage licenses. Are you comfortable? These are legal. And all of those married couples, soon to be married couples, said, probably gay and straight, because she was shutting down everything, said, yeah, we're comfortable. And because as you and I were talking driving over, I mean, who's going to go to court and make somebody's marriage license now illegal?
No, yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to do that. So they all said, we're fine if this is how it rolls from here forward. The judge basically undercut Kim Davis and laid it all on her deputies. So her only play now is to go to work tomorrow in in Rowan County, and maybe fire her deputies because they did throw her under the bus, the biggest bus in town.
But she'll go back to jail then because she said not directly or indirectly influence.
Correct. That's right.
So, and that would be certainly indirectly.
She's also saying through her attorney that maybe it's as of tomorrow, she's going to fight the legality of the marriage licenses that were given out. If she doesn't, then she's admitting to losing the situation.
Now, this is all outrageous. Look, wherever you stand on the issue, God bless you, that's the way you stand on the issue. You know, you either want to have gay marriage legal or you don't. The court has decided already, but you can still have your personal position. She can even have her own conscience. And no one is forcing her to change her views or change her conscience. But she doesn't have a constitutional right to hold a public office where the responsibility for that office is to issue these licenses. She doesn't have the right to disobey the Constitution. If you can't do it because your conscience says no, resign. Resign. Show some courage. Show the courage of your conviction. I would argue she does not have the courage of her conviction if she is still trying to hold on to her job. It's one thing to give a speech, and maybe you sit for a day or two in jail, and it's, you know, oh, I really believe this, I'm going to fight for it. Oh, garbage. She's not giving anything up. She's becoming a hero, and she still keeps her job. If she had the courage of her conviction, she would resign. You know, in the whole civil rights era, people that thought that something was horrible, like, you know, obviously discrimination and all that, they went to jail for their convictions. They paid a price. But if you're not willing to pay a price, then what is all this? Now, that's one thing. Okay, she's having her moment in the sun. Fine. It's not going to affect anybody. But these guys that are running for president of the United States, specifically Huckabee and Cruz and maybe a couple of the others, they have said that it is okay for you to ignore the Constitution, not follow the law, if it's a law that, in Huckabee's words, quote, is not right. You don't believe it's right. It's against your conscience. When he, let's say, by some miracle, he was elected president of the United States, he couldn't take the office because on January 20th of 2017, he would be required to raise his right hand and say that I swear to protect and preserve the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. And he says he's a God-fearing man. So if you are telling the people of this nation you don't have to obey a law that is against your conscience, then it means nothing to him. How can he be the president of the United States when he's already, on day one, violating the oath he's taken to preserve and protect the Constitution? How can you have a country where you let everyone decide what laws they're going to obey and then have a defense saying, well, I don't believe it. It's against my religion. You know, my inner thoughts say God made us of separate races for a purpose, so therefore I am not going to serve an African American that comes into my restaurant. Okay, that's unconstitutional. We've settled it. Done. You're going to let a person do that? Then our laws mean nothing. Now, Huckabee then says, when he's challenged on that, here's the best part. He said, well, Lincoln And slavery. You think they would have put Lincoln in jail for violating the Constitution at the time? Because in 1857, 3 years before he became president, you had the famous Dred Scott decision, which is universally believed to be the worst decision the Supreme Court ever handed down. And the Dred Scott decision, very quickly, was Dred Scott was a slave. His owner took him out of the South on a trip and took him to a northern territory where they didn't have slavery. It was a free state, free territory. And he then, Dred Scott, being a slave, suddenly he's in a free territory, goes to court and sues to be let free. And the Supreme Court ruled that he doesn't have a right to sue, he doesn't have standing because he's African American and they're not citizens. A horrible decision. So he wasn't even allowed to bring the suit because he wasn't viewed as a citizen under our Constitution. Remember, back then it was only 3/5 of a human being. So, and then Lincoln, of course, freed the slaves, is what we learn in childhood. The fact is Lincoln never violated the Constitution on that. Because in 1863, with the Emancipation Proclamation, that proclamation only freed those slaves that were in the states that had seceded from the Union, had rebelled against the United States. He then took the powers he was commander-in-chief, right, as the president. And so he took the War Powers Act that gave him the power as commander-in-chief during a war to make these executive decisions. So he freed the slaves, but only those who were slaves in the states where at the time were under rebellion. So if you were a slave in Kentucky, and Kentucky had slavery, Missouri had slavery, they didn't secede from the Union. They weren't in rebellion against the United States, so those slaves were not freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. Slaves did not become free throughout America until 1865 or 66, when you had the 13th Constitutional Amendment saying no more slavery. So Huckabee wants to be president of the United States, forgot the oath he has to take, and doesn't even know the history of the example he's given, saying that Lincoln violated the Dred Scott decision because he thought slavery was immoral, which we all do. Why can't Kim Davis violate the Constitution? Because she thinks gay marriage is immoral. Well, the point is, Lincoln didn't violate that Constitution on that issue, and Kim Johnson, let me tell you,
Dancing
Kim Johnson
partner?
is my dancing partner in Dancing with the Stars. I'm an
Believe
idiot.
me, Kim Davis.
Kim Davis.
I've met them
Johnson.
both.
Kim
There's no
Davis
Kim Johnson.
cannot dance. Kim Davis, I know Kim Johnson. Kim Johnson is a friend of mine.
Yeah,
Kim Davis, you're no Kim Johnson.
Amen.
I've seen them both, trust me.
I'm an idiot. So
Anyway, that's
There you go.
All right, good. That's some good background, Jerry. How in the hell are you able to name all those presidents in a minute, by the way? How do you do
Seriously.
that?
they were the president.
What is beside
I could probably name the states. I don't know if in a minute, because there's 50 of them.
Hey, Megan.
I can do 44. I can't do 50.
You can only do 44 states.
No, but I mean, you learn stuff in school.
There's
and if you study
nobody
it-
in this room can do that.
No.
But then again, few people in this room can do rock the cradle with a yo-yo, which I could do it again. I mean, that's
Yes.
pretty.
But nobody
Walk the
wants to
dog,
do that.
not a big deal. Rock the cradle, impressive. Megan, can I ask you something? Because Jerry and I think of Jerry and I as your crazy uncles.
Every time you say that phrase, Megan, can I ask you
Yeah, and
something?
yet
I
you
know
get
it's
nervous.
not going to be good.
It's not going to
No.
be good.
Not gonna be
It's not
good.
going. I have no idea what it is, but it's not going to be good.
I should
I
probably
wanted-
just say, no, you can't. But
Well,
what is it, Gene?
I wanted to ask you something. You had a date the other night.
I did.
You have lots
Oh.
of dates. You have
What
lots of dates. It isn't. My
Right.
gosh, you have plenty of dates. You
Oh,
You do not
she's
sit
a
around
dating
waiting for the
machine.
phone. It's a dating machine.
does
Tell
that mean?
us.
I don't even know.
Just
So to be
don't
clear,
worry
this
about
was
who's
not
listening.
from the podcast. This was not a date
No,
from
this
the
was
podcast.
not.
I'm
Do you
sorry, I
want to
thought that's
date
the-
Megan?
No,
the
this
bit,
was like
as we call it.
in
This
real
is-
life.
In
dating.
real
real
life,
life, some
you had
guy
a date.
asked you out. I say he would.
So it was a setup, actually. It was some friends of mine from grad school And they had this guy in common as friends, and they said, hey, you're single. We'll call him Bob. Bob is single, blah, 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 blah. We went out a couple weeks ago, had a really nice time. So we had a second date. So
And a date you would assume starts. Oh, but let me ask you this: what time did he pick you up?
Well,
roughly.
he didn't pick. I met him.
That's
because
fair
we
enough.
were going to take a cab over.
Oh, this was a second date.
This
so
was a
he'd already
second
been
date.
out with you
Yes.
once, and then
Yes.
this isn't
is
going to end
incredible.
well.
And the second date began roughly
At like 5:45, 6 o'clock. I
Okay,
get down,
so you
yeah.
think you're going to be hanging out till midnight,
Yeah.
1, 2 in the
And
morning,
get a meal
whatever.
at
get a-
5:45.
and get a free meal. Right.
Yeah, well, so we had plans to go to a couple of the breweries in the area, Rheingeist, which was really cool.
Oh,
and
you
then-
drink?
Yeah, I had a beer. It was crazy. And then we went over to a place in Covington. But he said to me earlier in the evening, well, my brother's coming in town. So I'm going to have around 8:30 or 9, I'm going to meet up with my brother. I'm thinking you're going to meet up with your brother
To
with
join
me.
you.
Yeah, like we're gonna go hang out with your
I mean,
brother.
like 8:30-ish, 9-ish, that means the date's going to be over like a third of the way through,
yeah,
which you
so,
assume it might
so
be.
I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, this is something's off. You don't make plans to have a date that starts at 6 o'clock on a Friday and ends at 8:30 on a
it
Friday.
doesn't sound good.
Wow.
no.
So I had some doubts.
Yeah.
And I did some checking.
Uh-oh.
He had
He
a
is a-
second date.
He had a second
Oh.
date.
Did
And
he
it
had-
wasn't his
It
brother
wasn't his brother
because
He
it wasn't a
totally lied
state
to
without
me.
gay marriage. So he wasn't
totally
dating his
lied to
brother?
me.
In the same night, he
In
had
the
a
same night,
second
and I have
date.
to tell you, this guy is not good looking enough to pull it off. It's just not possible. And I went,
Well,
so he, yeah.
How did you find out?
So I checked up on him. I called my girlfriend and I said, hey. She's like, how'd the date go? And I said, well, his brother. And she went, well, here's the deal. Our mutual friends were out to dinner last night. That wasn't his brother. He told this other guy, oh yeah, I got 2 dates. Megan's the first date. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So this is actually
Wow.
why
Well, let's
I need
out
your
him.
help.
Let's out him. Give his
No,
name.
no, we can't do
No,
that.
I
Not allowed
won't
to
do
do
that.
Well, no, my business plan doesn't have any legal fee money in it, so no, we're not going to out him.
But no, that's a really true story.
Oh,
Megan,
I'm sorry.
When Jerry and let's look at her at the same time and look her straight in the eyes and say, guys are not dogs. You had a bad experience with one guy. We don't
You
do
are having
this
Jerry
stuff.
Springer
Yeah,
tell
I
me
tell you.
that men are not dogs.
Are not dogs.
Wow. That is really
Most men are not dogs.
I agree with that.
That's
This one happened to
That's
be.
a horrible thing that happened.
It was pretty.
I can honestly say I have never done that.
I've never done anything.
No,
close
I mean, I was on the other end. I was begging for dates.
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You know
they
what?
stayed with me for an hour. That was a victory.
Yeah, I had some dates that were very, very short, and now
Yeah.
I'm looking at them in a different way.
I'll tell you
Because
how
all of them
pathetic.
had a second
Well, yeah.
date.
It's true. I just thought of it. This is really pathetic. I was very late in maturing or anything. I still haven't matured, but I mean, I didn't have any dates in high school. I mean, I had no dates in high school. And at college I started dating. But anyway, I tried to get dates in high school. Well, maybe I had 2 dates in high school. And my dad made stuffed animals. Did I tell you the story? Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
my
knew you did
dad was
that.
a vendor, and he made stuffed animals, that sold on the boardwalks of New Jersey and New York City and stuff like that. Anyway, so he made stuffed animals. So back then, it was kind of, times have changed. But back in the 50s, girls loved to have stuffed animals. And so...
See you carrying in your school bag stuffed
Just
animals.
dozens
Would
of
you
stuffed
like some
I
candy,
did.
little girl?
And like all of a sudden, so I would ask someone out. I said, "My dad makes stuffed animals." First she'd say no, and then said, "Well, my dad makes stuffed animals." Okay, well maybe we could go out. So I'd bring a stuffed animal, and they wouldn't go out on a second date. So I wised up, and I didn't give the stuffed animal till the second date.
Did you? Is that?
But
That's
that
smart.
didn't work because then I never got a first date.
yeah.
No, did you bring like gifts for first
true.
dates?
No, what I did, no,
Bonnie,
I didn't.
did he?
I didn't. My lovely wife's in the audience. I did get early on, as soon as I could afford it. It's like most people would work, put money, save money to go to college. I needed money for a car, a cool car, because I
Your
felt I
only
needed
shot.
all the help I
Yeah.
could get. If I had a cool car, maybe then I could get dates.
Yeah.
But
I've had a couple times where I've gotten flowers on first dates, but the coolest gift I have, so you're not going to remember this, but maybe some of our listeners will. There was a cartoon show in the late 80s, early 90s called Jene and the Holograms. And this guy brought me, we had talked about it over the phone, he brought me the box set of Jene and the Holograms for our first date. I still have it.
Now, I want to ask you a
what
question.
time, how did that date end? What time did he take you home?
Yeah.
We went to dinner. That was a normal date. We went to Bonefish for dinner.
And then you said, I have a second date.
I got to get out of here. I got to wrap this up, Larry.
Hey, let me turn us to some music because we always do this and we love doing this. We have a great group tonight, a group that's called Ma Crow and the Lady Slippers, and they are well known in the greater Cincinnati, northern Kentucky area. And we're going to ask them to do a song, and then we're going to chat with them. So whenever you guys are ready.
And we're looking at a fiddle, a bass, I mean like a floor bass.
Stand-up bass.
Stand-up bass. We got a guitar and we got a banjo. So
and we're going to introduce each of them as soon as they do the song.
Okay.
So whenever you guys are ready.
Up on the mountain where the wind blows free, deep in a shady grove of white oak trees, Ida Bale sleeps forever as we wonder why. You live in this troubled world in your 18th year of life, covered now with moss and leaves that almost hide a grave long forgotten by the world outside. It's where they gathered and it's where they cried on one summer morning as they said goodbye. What did you dream of when you closed your eyes, or when you looked up at the starry midnight sky? Did the deep blue hills their truth reveal? Love and life will always be a mystery. Frosted ground, to see the snow cling to the pines as the sun went down. Were you gentle and caring? Were you sweet and kind? Did you long to be a mother and a loving wife? A woodland flower that had just begun to bloom. An angel came from heaven and took you home too soon. What did you dream of when you closed your eyes, or when you looked up at the starry midnight sky? Did the deep blue hills their truth reveal? Love and life will always be a mystery. Starry midnight sky, did the deep blue hills their truth reveal? Love and life will always be a mystery. Love and life and you will always be a mystery.
really outstanding. That's
Yeah.
Mall Crow and the Lady Slippers. I'm going to ask if one of you ladies, and by the way, it's 4 women, and if one of you could introduce the others, who might step up and do that if you would?
Well,
and yourself as well.
Okay, I'm Ma Crow.
Okay.
And who are all these kids and why are they calling me Ma? Is what,
Yeah.
what I want to know. We have Miss Trina Emig on the banjo. She is the banjo goddess of Cincinnati.
Yes.
And we have Miss Margie Dries on the fiddle, who wrote that song, The Mystery of Ida Bales.
Nice.
We have Miss Vicki Abbott with the Bluegrass Habit standing up here with a big doghouse bass. She's the heartbeat of the group.
Nice. And where can people hear your music? You have a website, I assume, and tell us what that is, please, Mal.
MallCrowMusic.com.
All right, and you have some CDs out as well,
We do.
I understand.
We have several CDs. Our first one was Wayward Daughter, No Reflection on Any of Us.
Yep.
The second one is Memory of a Mountain. And the third one is Black Wings, which The Mystery of Ida Bales comes off of our latest album, CD, Black Wings.
Okay, would you do a second song for us, please?
Sure would.
All right.
How long have you been doing this?
A long time. I've
No,
been
as a
playing.
group,
As a
or-
group, we got together in May 2011.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
2011. And but Trina and I have been playing together since the last century.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Remember that? And,
It was a good one. I still live in it.
Yeah. Trina used to play with Vernon McIntyre. You were asking about Vernon.
And that's a well-known person in the bluegrass circle here
world,
in the
yeah.
Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area.
And then I have a friend that Katie Lauer. I've played with Katie.
Also well-known in
Katie said
these
to say
parts.
hello to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hello to her back. Absolutely.
All right. Do a second, please.
This one here comes off of Memory of a Mountain. It's the title song. Margie Dries wrote it. It's about mountaintop removal. We don't want to say anything any more than that except that it breaks my heart. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes in the evening I'll remember the quiet places where we used to play, the cool green mossy stream, the yellow poplar tree, where we carved our names one summer day. As I look out on the horizon, where are those hills that shelter me? As the twilight fades to darkness, I still see them in my memory. I hear the whispering of the leaves. I hear the mountain calling me. Hear the wind in the poplar tree, softly calling, calling in my dream. Snow, 200 million years beneath the stars. The valleys, hills, and streams for all that live and breathe. It'll take 10,000 years to heal the scars. As I look out on the destruction, it'll never be the way it was before. hear the whispering of the leaves. I hear the mountain calling me. Hear the wind in the poplar tree, softly calling, calling in my dreams. Softly calling, calling in my dreams. Softly calling in my dreams.
You guys, you have to come back. We have to hear more of this. This is
You guys are outstanding.
I just had this one quick thought, maybe it's relevant or not, but anyway, I had this thought. Young people today, so many of them who want to, let's say, be musicians and want to do that, and I'm part of the problem. They watch these television shows and they want to go on American Idol and they want to go on America's Got Talent. They want to do all that. And it's almost as if the goal is, I just want to be famous. I want to be, I want to be a big star. I want to make millions and all that. And then I listen to you guys who, be as famous as you want to be. But it's like, it's so obvious, this passion you have for the music you play. It is so authentic. It is so real. There's nothing commercial about it. Buy their CDs anyway. But I mean, really, hats off to you. I am blown away. I'm blown away. Okay.
And Jerry,
We're tickled to be here.
I would add just one thing to that, and it supports it, is they have lived. You can tell that they know something. They're singing about what they know and what they've experienced. And that Mountaintop Removal song is a passion you guys have. We have it too. And good on you for doing that. Could you take us out on that old standard Irene Goodnight? And Jerry Springer's actually going to jump in.
I'll try and carry you guys.
You're going to do the second verse for us. And our friend Katie Lauer said that you used to come down to Aunt Maudie's and help sing that.
Yeah, God bless her. And the fact that she was able to keep her career going in spite of that. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
She's
Thank
great.
you.
Please say hi to her.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery, sponsored by the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky. Thanks to Patrick Kennedy for writing our opening song, and to you for listening. Hope to see y'all again real soon.